Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us at this, I think, is our fourth webinar that the town of Bloomfield has sponsored under the leadership of the mayor, Suzette DeBeatham-Brown, and with the assistance of Denise Robidoux at Goman+York and Jose Geiner, the town planner for the town of Bloomfield. So let me welcome everybody and do a quick introduction. We have Betsy Paynter here. Betsy is a business advisor with the Small Business Development Group. Martin Geitz is with us as well today, and Martin is the Executive Regional Director at Liberty Bank, and for many years was the President and CEO of Simsbury Bank, well-known participant. And Martin is also a member of Bloomfield's Economic Development Commission, longtime member. And then last but not least, Nyandah Robinson, who is a CEO and business owner, local CEO and business owner in Bloomfield, and also is a member of Bloomfield's Economic Development Commission. Welcome, Nyandah. And lastly, Denise Robidoux, who I mentioned at the beginning at the top, and Jose Geiner. Denise is with us at Goman+York, and Jose is the town planner at the town of Bloomfield. So to kick off this session today, I asked Betsy Paynter from the Small Business Development Organization if she would be willing to kind of lead us off with some slides. So Betsy, let me turn over the screen to you.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, and I'm happy to be here to represent Connecticut Small Business Development Center. I'm going to see if I can share my screen and slides here. See if this goes through. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, wonderful. So the Connecticut Small Business Development Center is it's been very busy as of recent. We've been in Connecticut for a long time, but today we're going to talk to Bloomfield about focusing on the future and weathering the storm, and how helping Connecticut small businesses can grow and thrive here in the state of Connecticut. So a little background about what Connecticut Small Business Development Center is. We are a group of advisors. There's 18 advisors in Connecticut. We are scattered around the state of Connecticut. The SBDC is generated from the SBA, which is at the federal government, and then they disperse down funding and resources down to the state level. And there's over 1,000 SBDCs across the United States. So for instance, in Texas, there's 3 or 4 different SBDCs because it's such a large state. Here in Connecticut, we have 1, but like I said, we had 18 advisors that cover the whole, every corner of Connecticut. And this year we're celebrating our 39th year. So we're here to help you as the federal government supports and in with the state. Again, our support here is it comes from the SBA. And we work very closely with the Connecticut DECD, and our host is the UConn School of Business. So we work very closely with graduate students from UConn, and we together, the 3 organizations together, help provide services to help businesses thrive in Connecticut. So our services are 100% professional. All 18 of our advisors have a niche of some form of running a business, from operations to financials to marketing and client acquisition to startups and venture capital. We're 100% confidential, and most importantly, we're a no cost to the business owner. So again, it's your federal dollars at work. It's worth at least 1 appointment to meet with the SBDC and see how we can help you, because like I said, it is your tax dollars at work. So we're here to help you thrive. All of our different services, as I suggested in our 4 teams, we range from financial analysis and cash flow management to preparing a business to look good on paper so that they can access capital. We can help provide market research for startups or businesses looking to pivot to see what their competition is looking like out there. Right now, as of recently, we've been helping a lot of businesses with their marketing and social media plans so that they are talking to their customers. We can help businesses prepare for budget and forecasting. We can help get them ready for exporting as well as they grow their distribution. Again, our startup assistance is very strong and robust to make sure a new entrepreneur or business is going in the right direction, not wasting a lot of money or time. Can be very efficient with getting them up and running. We can help businesses with disruption to be prepared for that, such as in our days of COVID right now. Loan structuring and refinancing. We can also help entrepreneurs with SBIR and STTR, which are federal organizations that provide grants to technology or innovation resources for companies that are looking to patent pieces of equipment or ideas. We can help prepare you for that funding, and then also prepare for succession planning and valuation if you're looking to sell your business. So we have everything from the start to the finish of businesses, and with all of our 18 advisors to assist. Just for example, this year, these numbers probably can be adjusted as of it only takes us through May, but we have seen quite a few clients throughout Connecticut and help them raise a lot of capital as well so that they can thrive. Creating a very strong business plan, having 3-year forecast projections to help you when you go in front of a bank. We can help prepare your whole package and so that you're the strongest you can be. This is just an example of an entrepreneur that we helped. Here's Cross Culture Kombucha. Liz created this product in her kitchen, and then she started to mass produce it. She was selling at farmers markets, and then started into packaging and branding and labeling. And now she has the only kombucha, I think it's a dispenser, or like a tap where you can buy gallons of kombucha there to go in Danbury. And she's been a thriving entrepreneur because of the help from start to finish with Connecticut SBDC. This is just some of the examples of how we are helping businesses today through our COVID of pivoting and planning with their businesses. So there's a lot of recovery going on. And on our website, which I can help take you through as well, there's resources on there, which is Connecticut, which is ctsbdc.com is our website, and there's a lot of resources out there, but helping for recovery strategies and adapting your business across all the industries. And then, like I said, buying and selling your business, kind of really looking to see where you want to go next with your business. Adaptive business continuity. All these 7 different areas of running a business we help support. So it could be for your branding and your messaging, to your operational strategy, human resources, how you're handling the COVID within your company, and HR practices there with your health and safety, financial analysis. There's all of these areas that you have to focus on with your business as you go through and grow and thrive. So we're here to help. So these are just a couple of the tools that we have at Access to help businesses depending on where they are and what their needs are. This is Bottom Line, which is a financial tool. It helps to prepare the 3-year forecasting needed for businesses and looking at what could be adjusted or adapted to get the right numbers that you're looking for at the end of the day. Decision-making tools, Growth Wheel. You may have heard of this tool. This takes you through all aspects of growing or starting a business. So you have a business concept here. You have customer relations, operations, and organization. And then within each one of these, there's all these different areas of revenue model, product portfolio, business ideas, networking, marketing, sales, and service. We can help go through each one of these. Has a sheet similar to this, and we can walk you through that. It's homework for the business owner, but we'll stay with you for years to come to help your business grow and adapt and advance. So we'll work side by side with you to do this. Financial benchmark data. Here we go. Here's another Industrious CFO, which is a format that can help with your financial projections. Market research, IBIS World. May have heard of this tool, but this is something that helps you dig into market research of the category that your business may be falling underneath, and do some research to see who's out there, what they're doing, and how they're doing it, and how you're going to do it differently and better. And this is a demographic tool, ESRI, that we use to help with demographics. So if your target audience is females, 34 to 54, and you want to get to that demographic, we can help you zoom in and find out where they are and what's the best way to tap in to get their attention. on our website, which I mentioned earlier is right down here, ctsbdc.com. There's a lot of tools. You don't have to be registered to utilize them right now, but there's a lot of courses online that you can take, and such as Accounting 101, how to buy a business, choosing legal structure for business. There's also our training, our webinars that we put on, we host them on our website too. So if you haven't been able to see it live, you can refer back to our website. And one of them here is how to start a business, how to launch a home-based cosmetic business out of your home. It's a great website to poke around. There's social media, there's veterans resources as well. So there's a lot of information. We are changing our website in the next couple of months, but it will have all of this content, same website link. So previous in January, we had 26 locations that we worked out of, and now we're all virtual and online, which, you know, can be a little bit more efficient. Business owners don't have to drive anywhere. They don't have to, they can just Zoom right in. We WebEx together, and we've been helping a lot of businesses up to date with their PPP and their EIDL. So people are looking for their PPP, how to gain forgiveness for that so that they don't have to pay anything back, their EIDL grants, and then their loans. And then, of course, any other capital that they may be looking for, because right now the interest rates are just so attractive. So if there's any businesses that have been renting their location for a long time, this is a real great time to think about perhaps purchasing a building. If you've never thought of that before in the past, like I said, the rates are so good. That's you know, some of the strategies that we've been working with business owners. Like I said, it's very easy for us to get connected. All you have to do is go to our website, ctsbdc.com. There's a yellow button in the top right-hand corner that says Business Advising. You click on that, and then either you're a new business or existing business, and then you can click on either one. And I think there's about 4 fields of information of your name and your contact. Our intake person will take in your information, and within 24 to 48 hours, you'll have an advisor contacting you to set up a one-on-one business advising session. So we have been working with businesses every day. I've been working as of recent with new startups, a woman that did a lot of real estate. She was doing staging, and now she really just wants to go back to graphic design. And so I'm helping her just pivot her business to go back to graphic design, because there's such a demand for graphics for business owners today. Like I was saying earlier, we have a drapery company that I was working with who needed a showroom person before, and now she's looking for somebody to help her with e-commerce to put her items up online. So, you know, we've been working very closely with business owners to figure out what they need today that they maybe looks different than they did in January. So I'm going to stop sharing if I should, and we can.
That's terrific, Betsy. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me just pause for a minute and welcome a couple of people who joined us. Michelle Bononi, a longtime town planner and also longtime member of the Economic Development Commission in Bloomfield. Welcome, Michelle. And Vera Smith-Winfree, who is the executive director of the Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. One of our co-sponsors on these programs. Vera and Denise have worked closely with Jose and the mayor to put everything together and program this all out. So thanks very much, Vera. Glad you could join us today, and welcome to this afternoon session. Betsy, you know, that's just a terrific story. I hope a lot of people are going to your website and clicking that yellow button now. That ctsbdc.com website. That's you know, it's a really remarkable program at no cost, and the level of expertise and professionalism that's available to small businesses at no cost. That's really a terrific program. Martin, let me call on you for a minute as a longtime banker. I know that the local banks work closely with SBDC on arranging financing and so on. Any comments about some of the information that Betsy put out for the group?
Yes, we have many customers who work with the SBDC and have for many, many years. The resources that Betsy outlined are really very powerful resources. And what we found with business people, either who are just starting their business or people who are looking to significantly grow their business, the kind of partnership that the SBDC offers is really valuable in building your plan and in you know, being prepared for unexpected things, and ultimately being successful. And you know, as Betsy said, that includes marketing, that includes financial management, that includes leadership, includes all of the elements to be successful. So yeah, we oftentimes, you know, work together with our customer and the SBDC, and get the customer in good shape for whatever they need financially from our point of view. Whatever we can support.
Again, it's just a terrific program. Nyandah, your reaction as a local business CEO, are you going to sign up, or have you already signed up?
Absolutely. I think that this is good information, and small businesses sometimes are timid to kind of dig through everything that they need to be successful. So I feel like this is a good starting point for small businesses, and I will definitely put clients that come to me that feel more comfortable in speaking to a local person to say, hey, people at SBDC definitely has a good program, and I'll definitely try to develop my program around that to help more small businesses. So I think this was very, very good information.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we see in some of our work with small businesses, and Denise is on the ground talking to a lot of small businesses day in and day out, but you know, one of the things you see as a character trait, I think, in small businesses is sort of an independent streak. You know, the sort of pull themselves up from their bootstraps and do it themselves, and I think that's wonderful. That's what small business is made out of. But to have this no cost, I think Betsy's comment was sort of nothing to lose and everything to gain by using SBDC. I mean, to have that at your sort of beck and call is just wonderful. So that's great. Let me talk about a few questions that were on my mind. You know, I'd like to come back to Betsy's comment about help with the PPP and the EIDL programs. I think that's something that we hear a lot about now. There's the money and the programs have been out there for a while, and now the idea that maybe at some point you might have to pay that back, it's got people thinking about it. So any comments from the group about the kinds of work that it can be done? Martin, you put your hand up there.
You know, maybe a little encouragement to anyone who is watching this to contact Congressman Larson. There is legislation right now that is stuck in Washington that would have two big impacts on PPP. First, there is going to be another round of Paycheck Protection Program funds that are going to be made available under, whether it's the Republican plan or the Democratic plan, whatever plan comes together. So the sooner that money is available, the better, because the original PPP allocation, I think the thinking was, well, we just need to get through the next 3 months. Well, we're now 7 months into this, and there are many companies who really need another round and access to the PPP. So I would encourage everyone to contact Congressman Larson and encourage him, and our two senators, encourage them all to come together and leave the politics aside and do the right thing for American families and American businesses who are suffering through this pandemic that it was not our fault, and we're all trying to get through it. The other important thing about PPP is, Mike, as you were suggesting, that first round of PPP is now at a point where the banks and Liberty Bank did something like 3,000 of these loans we're in the forgiveness phase. And now the frustrating thing here, and we get back to the legislation, this is the other message you want to give to your congressmen and your senators, is that there is unanimity in Washington that we need to make the process of forgiveness for smaller borrowers under $150,000, we need to make that much simpler. Currently, the process, it's 4 pages. It's like doing your income taxes. It's just too hard. It's too hard for the business. It's too hard for the banks. It is very cumbersome. There is, we're in this unfortunate moment where both sides agree, both parties agree that we needed to simplify and streamline the forgiveness process. And a feeling that 150 and below, which would be something like 90% of all loans.
Right. That's right.
There are obviously some very large borrowers, but 90% of the loans are under 150. One glimmer of good news is that Treasury Secretary Mnuchin last week indicated that the Treasury Department is looking at whether they have the ability to make an administrative decision for loans under 50,000 to put in place a much more streamlined process. That would cover almost 70% of the loans. And again, take the burden off of the small businesses, take the burden off of the banks, and be able to process them much more quickly. So there is, even if Congress can't get out of their way to do the right thing by all of our small businesses and all of us as Americans, perhaps the Treasury Department will determine that they have the administrative authority to, at least for loans under 50,000, to have a much more streamlined process. So that's a little bit of an update, Mike, on PPP.
I probably, as background, I probably should have explained that Martin also serves as a member of the Federal Reserve Board, Bank of Boston, right?
Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston.
Federal Home Loan Bank of
Federal
Boston.
Home Loan Bank, yeah.
I knew I'd get close, but not right. So
Close.
good. Thank you for that.
I can add to that. I've been helping quite a few small businesses go through their PPP. And of course, those are great. And that has not been passed as of yet. So right now, businesses have to plan to apply for forgiveness on their PPP, no matter what. I mean, I have people that have $3,000 to $300,000. The PPP was set up so that employers could pay their employees and keep them out of going to unemployment or having to get laid off. And so you can keep your dedicated, trained staff to stay with you, which is good. So they didn't have to like rehire and retrain employees. A second round would be wonderful because that did only take them through about 8 weeks. The EIDL loan is there as well to help support. But if anybody has any questions about how to manage their PPP and keep that paper trail, we have been trained very deeply on all of the rules and regs and how to manage it. So I could help any business owner with their employees and their FTEs to get them back up to where they need to be before they apply. And they do have 10 months after the cover period is over to apply for forgiveness. And to Martin's point too, I think some of the banks have yet to put up their forms, not knowing what Congress is going to do if they will give that forgiveness. But I would imagine in the next month or so, the banks will have their information up. But there is an easy form that is 3 pages for some businesses. And
I was gonna allude to that one of my clients have already received their documentation from their banker, and I think it was 2 pages. Yeah. So 1 page with instruction and 2 pages with information to be filled out. And it was very straightforward. It wasn't complicated.
Right. And there are those people that had to manipulate their staff, like some of the restaurants, they didn't have all their staff come back right away, but then they rev them up. So they have a little bit more complicated when you had to manage more employees, I would say.
You need to have your customers coming back so you can have your employees coming back.
Right.
Nyandah, do you have other comments as a local CEO about the PPP and EIDL program? And let me remind everybody again what Martin pointed out, in case you've missed it, there is an election coming up, and now is a great time. So one of your tasks, if you're listening today, is as soon as you get off this program, is look up that email and fire off a 1-line email to Congressman Larson and the 2 state senators and urge them to move this ahead. But let me come back to Nyandah.
So one thing that is very important about this PPP and for small businesses is that a lot of the small businesses weren't able to capitalize on this opportunity because they do not have proper records. So this is a very important thing to stress. And now that we may have a second round now, this is a perfect time to start putting things in place to ensure that your documentation is up to par.
And SBDC is standing by to help you do that. So.
And the harvesters as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's great. You know, one of the things that we see in a lot of situations out there right now is, you know, it's easy to become a little discouraged by the market conditions that are out there. And we are seeing a little bit of nascent businesses beginning to really get out there and start to market again, start to promote themselves again. And that's just so encouraging and so important We're coming into a critical time of the year when a lot of businesses generate a big percentage of their revenue, their annual revenue, and you've got to get in the game. I know it's been a tough 4 or 5 or 6 months, whatever it's been now. I guess it's actually 7 months now. But now's the time to get back into the game and start marketing and promotion. So let me ask the group about the importance of communication. And I think communication kind of flows to not just customers, but with to your employees, keeping your employees up to speed on what you're thinking about how things are going to go. And of course, you know, keeping your bankers plugged into what's going on with your business. I think that's critical. You know, it's often, I know in our experience, it's often the bankers are the last ones that hear about it. And usually when they hear about it, it's after things have occurred. So it's better to stay in touch with your loan officer, if you have one, throughout the process and keep them up to speed. Let's talk about communication just for a minute if we can.
Mike, if I may, I have 2 questions for Betsy on that last part before you move on, if that's okay.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, Martin's questions and then your answer to him, I think for the most part, answered most of my questions about loan forgiveness. But could you tell me whether or not when you talk about forgiveness, it's actually for 100% of the loan? Or is it in a scale, or how does that work?
You could have 100% forgiven.
Okay,
As long as you have your paper trail that you've spent the money the proper way. So
okay,
you can spend 100% of the PPP on payroll, and you just need to have your QuickBooks reporting or your payroll reporting indicating to show, you know, how you disperse the money. And I can always take you on offline on a more detail of that. You can do up to 40% of the money can go for non-payroll costs if you decide not to do 100% for payroll. 40% of it can go towards the 8 weeks of rent or interest on a mortgage if you own a building, or utilities that you are paying in January. So it could be your internet, your electric, your heating, all of those things to run your operation. So up to 40% of the money can go there, and then a minimum of 60% to go to payroll.
well, that's great to know, because then if I were in that person's shoes, it would provide me with a greater incentive to do that, especially
Correct.
since it's 4 pages, and let's hope they do take it down to 2. But nonetheless, then there is no track record thus far from the standpoint of people applying, so that there is no result about like average percentages that people were successful in achieving. Not yet.
Not yet, because it all depends on everybody's individual situation.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
not so much the program, it's how that person spent the money
Okay.
with their business. And if you can get your FTEs up, let's say, you know, you had 5 employees in January and you really only need 4 now, you know, afterwards. So you're going to have 1 FTE. So you might have to not get forgiven on that amount of money, you know, a portion of it. Like I said, it's unique to everybody, but there is an opportunity to get 100% forgiven for sure.
Great. My second question is, you mentioned that for those who could see their way clear to do it, now might be a great time to buy a building or increase their building's footprint or assets or whatever from the standpoint of real equipment for those who could afford it. What would you think about, leads into Mike's communication question, to bring that idea forward to realtors? Not that you would want to point out anybody in particular, but to let them know that there might be business entities who would be ready to do that, particularly people who were thinking about it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And how could people who are in that position be communicated with to let them know that it might be a good time for them to do it? And there are different entities in the community that would be willing to talk to them about it, not to mention the financing arm also.
Well, the SBA has the grade 504 and the 7A loans that would help business owners with these to purchase buildings at very low interest rates. So, you know, signing up with us at Connecticut SBDC, it's something that we can help look at their financials and look at the loan and get it. I mean, the rates are so low right now.
Mhm.
And that's a good business time to invest in your property. Commercial real estate has been hit hard right as of recent. There's not a lot of people, you know, there's not a big going into rent a second, third floor office space like a year ago, perhaps. But that will pick back up again as well. But so commercial real estate agents would be people to talk to about that. If your business is in 51% of the building, and then you can lease out the rest of it too, that's another thing. But you just have to be 51% of the building.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
good to know.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good.
Should be bailiwick, Mike, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we can help advise at all of these levels. So, you know, it's something that I think, like I said earlier, that every business owner should at least have one consultation to see where they are and their health of their business and where they can go.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good.
Oh.
Thank you, Betsy.
And just putting in not a plug, but you know, the banker.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, the bank you had mentioned earlier, like, you know, from a communication point of view, you know, it's really important to have good open lines of communication, particularly at times of stress, but also to help you solve your problems. And so,
Right.
and work with you to you know, hopefully, you know, get the right kind of financing package in place. So, you know, between the SBDC as an advisor and your banker who's experienced as an advisor, there's a lot of support out there for, and Nyandah's company, there's a lot of support out there for small businesses, I think, and people should be comfortable pulling it all, you know, coming to all of us and using what resources we have to help.
I agree. That's kind of my point around communication, and I wanted to get Nyandah's thoughts on this as a local business owner. But, you know, I think too often what we see is that businesses close, and the first time that we hear from anybody about that, about the trouble they were in, is when they tell us that they're closing. And
Mhm.
that's just too bad. You know, there's just so many resources out there. The town will do what they can within their powers to help out. We're here on behalf of the town as an economic development consultant to provide advice. Betsy's there with SBDC, Martin's there as a banker. I mean, there's just so many resources, but we can't bring those to bear in helping some of these businesses if they're not communicating with us about it. So that's kind of my point about, you know, talking to what's going on before, you know, the doors have to close. That's just too bad. I think Nyandah had to step away for a minute, so let me keep going. And actually I see the mayor, Suzette DeBeatham-Brown, has joined us today. Welcome, Mayor. So let's talk for a minute about opportunities. You know, Martin and Betsy, you know, we're seeing opportunities out there now, and you know, one of them we just sort of talked about. You'll be able to buy real estate perhaps at lower prices than you might have a year ago. And there may be opportunities there. I think there's also opportunities, you know, as the economy shifts a little more towards using e-commerce. You know, the trend toward e-commerce was already well underway prior to COVID-19. It's our view is that COVID-19 has really just accelerated a lot of these trends, including the move to e-commerce. But, you know, there are opportunities out there. Maybe Betsy, if you could just talk about some of the things that you're seeing with your clients.
Sure. Yes, pivoting like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like the example of the drapery person not needing a showroom person as much as she needs an e-commerce person now. But you had mentioned too, communication. And I think with small business owners right now, it's very important for them to increase their communication with their customers.
Mm-hmm.
And to remind the customers of the problems that they solve for their customers every day and the value of their business, any testimonials that they have from previous customers, because word of mouth is so valuable and strong, and everybody's online right now. So you have a captured audience of Facebook, Instagram, etc. And again, those platforms are not expensive for small business owners. It just takes time. And I call social media is the water on top of the ice cubes, where the ice cubes are your daily work, but you kind of just always have to fit that social media stuff in there. I've been advising business owners to create a calendar of content. So if they want to say, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to post Fridays, I'm going to do a spotlight on an employee. Wednesdays, I'm going to feature something that's on sale or whatever, just kind of to plan it out so that they can get pictures and think through their content and post. Email marketing has been very strong too. Everybody's in their emails nowadays, and just remind them of consumer confidence is what we need to increase. So you want to see pictures of people at a retail or restaurant, sanitizing, cleaning, masks, that your health is very important to them, and how their needs are important to you.
Mhm.
So
I was in a small business a week or two ago and talking to the guy. I happened to know him, and he was complaining that, the traffic just wasn't coming back. And I said to him, "Are you asking them to?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "Well, you have a mailing list. Like, are you getting mailing? Are you mailing them, emailing them, every few days, once a week, sending out some coupons or sending out a flyer for a sale? Like you have to give them some encouragement and give them a reason to
remind them you're
back
there.
out." What's that?
Yeah. Remind them that you're there.
Yeah, that's right.
And have a special, local communities too. There's the whole Takeout Tuesday, hashtag Takeout Tuesday, encouraging local communities to patronize their local restaurants on a Tuesday, because Friday, Saturdays, might be more busier anyway for them. Buy local. There's never been a stronger time than ever than right now is to encourage communities to buy local. It was very easy for us to purchase things from Amazon online because you don't have to leave the house and it's safe and comes in 2 days. But there are services down the road that have those products, and to keep them alive and well, we have to patronize our local businesses.
I think one of the interesting things is that the cost of reaching your customers in today's world of email and social media is dramatically lower than it ever has been. 15 years ago, you really had to be doing direct mail or something like that to reach them. And now you're taking out ads in the newspaper, but now you can reach them with a few clicks of a button and a relatively low cost account for, constant contact or whatever it might be. But again, to emphasize what you just said, I think it's important to give people some encouragement, give them a reason to come back in and see you. And that's that communication.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about opportunities. We've talked a little bit about the online delivery and the ability to perhaps buy real estate that for your business. But down the road, those are sort of immediate issues. There have been a lot of changes in the economy, and I don't think anybody is expecting us to return to sort of previous standards or norms, if you will. We're now in an online age. Martin, from a banking standpoint, what do you see how do you see the banking world changing in the next few years?
Yeah, I would echo your comment earlier that some trends that were already underway, whether it's in the banking industry or any other industry, are just being accelerated by this. So what we're seeing in banking is more than ever, customers have become comfortable with online banking. And so that requires us who want to be competitive over the long run to up our game as well in all of the tools that we can make available to business or consumer customers on a digital basis. Liberty Bank, for example, recently hired somebody to really help us accelerate our digital banking offering, and so I would be looking forward to. I would expect that many other banks are going to be doing the same thing because that's what our customers are telling us that they want more than ever. I do think, though, that particularly once we get past get the vaccine in place and get past where we are now, there will continue to be an interest by customers to meet face to face with their banker, and so that will return. In the meantime, though, virtually all of our bankers now have a go-to-meeting capability that they can use in order to have a face-to-face with customers, and have been routinely reaching out to customers to at least make it a little more friendly than just a phone call.
Right.
And I would expect that even once we're past the pandemic, that these tools, Zoom, GoToMeeting, will continue to be, very useful. And, as Betsy mentioned, there's a time efficiency opportunity here. And, we really didn't utilize nearly as much. So I think, coming back to your question, I think some of the trends that we had seen in the business are being accelerated by the innovation that we've all had to do, whether we're a provider or whether we're a business or consumer customer. We've all had to innovate and change the way we do things, and some of that stuff a lot of that will continue on and make us more productive in the future.
Right. A lot of the online stuff that was previously a convenience became a necessity overnight, and we had to learn how to do this. Nyandah, we were talking about opportunities. Are you seeing opportunities for your local businesses?
I apologize. I had to step away real quick.
That's all right.
But in terms of banking, a lot of customers, are still asking, what are the banks doing for small businesses? We understand that the SBA has done, these small loans, but sometimes the smaller businesses get squeezed out because, one, they don't have documentation and stuff and so forth in place. Are there any programs that, for example, Liberty is pulling together to help those smaller businesses that are really feeling the pinch of COVID-19 to kind of help them, themselves? So I guess Martin would be the best person to answer this question.
Yeah. We have been doing a number of things to, support companies through this time period, through the COVID-19 pandemic time period. We've had virtual seminars similar to this, but focused on, how do you apply for a loan? How do you get a residential mortgage loan? And we've had good attendance of those. We did the same thing in the PPP period, both to let people know how to go about the application process, and then more recently, as we have launched 2 or 3 weeks ago, we launched our forgiveness process. We did a number of webinar type presentations that were interactive and provided people with the knowledge and information to move on that. So we invest a lot, and I guess maybe the third thing is we invest a lot with our partners, not-for-profit organization partners who are important resources as well to particularly very small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and believe that we've been helpful there.
I can add to that as well. There's quite a few grants that come and go. Connecticut SBDC is informed often, and we can have information for those grants to be applied for. Minority-owned businesses, women-owned business, if you're located in urban centers, are just a few off the top of my head, agriculture as well. So those grants, like I said, they come and go. But we've had funders as well. If your credit rate isn't as strong, if a local bank won't support you, we have other funders that can help small businesses also. So the wider breadth.
Question, Betsy, is the minority business revolving loan fund still active given all the other funding that is available?
I would have to just kind of go through and see what today, as of October 5th, what exactly is happening. I don't know that off the top of my hands, but there seems to be something always to apply for. If it's not like through Amex or, Lowe's had a grant for a while for small business owners, or New Haven was hosting one as well, just for instance.
I could be wrong on this, but I believe the state, when they earlier this year, created a variety of programs and funded them, that they also allocated some money to HEDCO for minority-owned and low and moderate income community businesses.
And CIC is another great one, your Community Investment Corp.
Let me take a minute to mention to the attendees that are watching, listening. There is an ability to submit questions to the panelists. If you go down to the bottom of your screen and just hover your mouse, you can see a little thing that pops up for Q&A. So if anyone would like to submit a question to our experienced panelists here, please go ahead and do so. So let me move on to another question about what's going on in the economy, and I invite anybody to comment on this. But you know, as I think most people know, a big part of our world is in the real estate activity, and we are seeing more and more anecdotal evidence of businesses moving out of major metropolitan areas and looking for more suburban areas. You know, lower density of people, lower density of businesses. And so if you think of the major metros being Boston and New York, you know, people moving out to this, back into the suburbs or out to the suburbs to get away from some of the density. I had a professor one time who said to me that the plural of anecdote is data. And I'm a believer in that. I think the more we see that, you know, that we'll start to understand what that means and how it's going to play out. But any comments on that, or are you seeing any indicators of that in your respective worlds? Martin or Betsy or Nyandah?
You know, it's funny, you know, a year ago, one of the things I would remind people of was, you know, New York and Boston have become so expensive, and Hartford, relatively speaking, is so much more affordable that it's just a matter of time before you know, businesses, instead of adding 100 people to an office building in downtown Boston, they're going to say, well, why don't we put 100 people in an office building in Bloomfield or Windsor? Well, I think we're there with this, and I know in both Boston and in New York, you know, there are major employers who are still struggling with how to safely bring their folks back to work. The major issue being mass transportation and people's comfort in mass transportation. My son works for a company in New York City that's located right around the Times Square area, and they invited their employees to begin to come back. But one requirement is you cannot be riding public transportation. Well, it's impractical for my son who lives in Brooklyn to get to Times Square without taking mass transportation. So he continues to work from home. And I know the Federal Home Loan Bank of Boston, our offices are in the Prue Tower, right in the Back Bay area there. And the CEO has already said the earliest we will begin to welcome people back is going to be in January. So I think all of the you know, the cost advantages of, you know, particularly central Connecticut, and both from a personal, you know, what you can afford from a, you know, housing or apartment point of view, as well as the cost for the employers, are really going to work to our benefit in the coming years. And I mean, I know we see in the home sales data, I mean, home sales are way up. You know, some of those are just people trading up, but some of those are people moving in, right? I mean, they're going to be coming from out of the area. So I think we'll be seeing more of that.
If I could add to that too, I think this is our COVID silver lining for the state of Connecticut. You know, people were leaving Connecticut before. Our young people are heading to the cities of New York and Boston. We'd educate them here, and then they'd quickly run off to live in a very dense apartment complex and not have a large home because they can be out and about. And now, boy, does that change within 48 hours. You know, so we've had, as you were saying, Martin, too, I mean, the real estate agents, people are getting well above asking over their homes in Western Connecticut, where I'm located. Anything that's waterfront on a lake or a pond is, you know, getting a lot of money. But, you know, the best part about that, too, is, you know, working from home probably will stay on some aspects for those larger businesses. But CEOs tend to run their business where they live. And if they're moving to Connecticut out of Manhattan to live, you know, here in Connecticut, they, you know, there's going to be a startup of a new business perhaps, or a branch of a business that they may bring with them. So there's opportunity, I think, there, and we think positive. That could be our half cup or cup half full, if you will.
Nyandah, comments?
Yes, I definitely see a lot of activity. I see, you know, renovations happening in Hartford, and you hear the buzz that there are people kind of moving from New York to Connecticut. And Hartford is kind of like a balance between a city and a country lifestyle. So I think it's favorable there. And Bloomfield will definitely feel the trickle down from that. You
know, there was an excellent article in the Wall Street Journal on the weekend about Times Square and the lack of activity versus the same period last year. So if anybody can access that article, it's a good indicator of what's going on in major metropolitan areas. We're also hearing about major employers in some of the major high-cost residential areas, of course, on the West Coast, like San Francisco, that are looking at literally paying their employees to move out of the area and essentially saying, look, this remote working thing is working fine. If you want to move to Utah, good idea. We'll need less office space and we're willing to pay you to move there. So I think we're going to see a lot of that. You know, one of the silver linings, I think, to borrow the phrase from Nyandah is, you know, when we look at the sales of, you know, the grocery stores, the home improvement stores, the landscaping guys, I mean, all their sales in all those categories are up in many cases significantly, you know, 30, 40%. The unfortunate downside is that the hotel guys are suffering and some of the restaurants are suffering. Although I will say, and you've probably observed this yourself, it seems like every single restaurant that I've gone by that has outdoor dining, that area is busy all the time. Now, how long that'll last into this season, let's hope for good weather for the sake of those restaurant operators. But we're about to go into phase 3, and hopefully that's going to improve things for a lot of the restaurant folks and other uses as well. So it looks like we may be turning the corner.
For you, Mike, when you have a moment.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right.
It has to do with if the prophecy of moves to the suburbs actually does come to fruition in the way that people seem to think it is. I've been reading about real estate investment trusts that are specializing totally in healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
And they are betting that those locations are going to serve all of those people who are relocating out of cities from the standpoint of seeking their healthcare and healthcare services where they will live. And I know Jose can tell us that there's a building that's already being adaptively reused for medical services here in Bloomfield. And I'm just wondering how much of an adaptive reuse picture you think we're going to be looking at in a local level from the standpoint of especially building vacancies that we have formerly that were office space to be used for other things to serve new residents.
Yeah, I think, you know, from a real estate perspective, I think one of the things that's happening is, and it's good for this, the idea of adaptive reuse on the one hand. On the other hand, if you're a building owner, it's not so good because it's going to put your price down substantially. But from an economic development standpoint, you know, most of us who are involved in this world of real estate have seen many situations where older buildings, no one can justify renovating the building and bringing it up to current standards because the current market rents don't justify it. Oftentimes the biggest barrier is that the seller has a value in mind that's unrealistic. And I think one of the things that we are likely going to see, and there's some sign of it already occurring, that building owners are now saying, you know what, I've just got to sell this thing. You know, I've just got to sell the building. And bringing the price down makes the equation of renovating the building and adaptively reusing it much more likely. So I think that'll happen. And I think that, you know, in previous times, and a number of the speakers have touched on this, people had to live within a reasonable proximity to where their employer was headquartered. That's really no longer the case for a large percentage of the employment, a large percentage of employees. And companies that previously might have said, you know, look, we're not really in favor of this remote working because of the perhaps the loss of company culture and loss of spontaneous communication. You know, I think they're not, they've made the transition to remote working. And they're now saying, you know, look, it looks like we can maintain the culture. It looks like we can maintain spontaneous communication using technology. And we've talked to a number of leading IT people from some of the major companies. And in fact, they're reporting an uptick in employee productivity as a result of remote working. So with those kinds of data points, I think that you're going to see a real shift and people can, the people will have a lot more flexibility in where they can live, and that will drive a lot of changes. And I think it will, one, to your point, Michelle, will drive the utility of looking at some of these older buildings and refurbishing them either to be used for residential or some other use.
Mhm.
Connecticut came very high, like number 1 or number 2 from working from home, of the capabilities from our fiber optics, the broadband, the
Mhm.
opportunity to tap into internet. Affordability and all of that wasn't the strongest, but the conditions to work from home, Connecticut was very strong.
If
You
you're
know-
coming out of New York, some of the housing in Connecticut looks like a bargain.
That's right.
Yeah. One of the, your comment, Mike, about maintaining a culture is an important one. And as I talk to, larger company CEOs, that is one of their worries, is, how do we maintain a culture if we are, for the most part, physically dispersed? And actually, one of the things that I know the GoToMeeting platform offers is the ability to kind of seamlessly go from a group of 160 people to groups of 8 and then come back together. And in fact, I've been on a couple of those, webinars recently. So there is, an opportunity to have a small group discussion and then a report out to a larger group. And so I think, again, being innovative and adaptive, these platforms like Zoom and GoToMeeting, can offer ways to help you keep your culture together. In a different way.
And I think this technology is just going to get better. If you look at the history of the development of technology over the last number of 20 years, whatever it's been, the improvements in this kind of technology will be dramatic over the next few years. The camera quality, the sound quality, the ability to do things that you were just describing, Martin, is just going to get better and better. And as it does, it sort of supports the whole notion that you don't need to live where you're close to where your employer is headquartered. So, other comments? Nyandah? You're listening to all this and you're on mute.
Yes,
Mike, you've also
definitely.
got one question too on
Okay.
your Q&As.
Go ahead, Nyandah, and I'll look at the question.
Yes, definitely. The technology has made it become more flexible for persons, not just to, and it does save time, less traffic, it's environmentally friendly. So there are a lot of positives that has come out of COVID-19 and the opportunities that exist with using and leveraging technology to do business more efficiently.
Question, we do have one question here as we wrap up, and the question is, how can Bloomfield work with SBDC to get this information to realtors to promote Bloomfield as the alternative location rather than being reactive, being more proactive?
Good idea.
Yeah, very good idea. Good suggestion.
I'd love to work with anybody. If you want to connect me with somebody, I could definitely do this presentation to smaller groups or however you think. On our website, we have, like I said, the ability for people to register. I have a flyer that I can email to all of you afterwards that promotes I was wondering, maybe I could just share my screen with that too, if that's too late to do. It would, I think maybe I closed it. I apologize. I can put the flyer up to all of you.
Sure.
And then Jose, I can work directly with you if you'd like to. We can do an outreach to the commercial brokers in Bloomfield and whoever else you feel important.
Yeah, we have a good relationship with our commercial brokers.
It's a very good suggestion, and I am currently the chair of the Commercial Council of the Greater Hartford Association of Realtors, and we are doing a series of 1-hour webinars. So Betsy, I will follow up with you offline, but that'll be a great way for you to get in front of the commercial realtors.
Love to.
It's a great group. We have our annual conference is being done by Zoom this Thursday, but following that, we'll be doing a series of 1-hour informational webinars. The first one is on the changes to the Connecticut Transfer Act, but
Right.
Maybe what we'll do is follow up with one and have you speak at the next one. So great suggestion. Thank you very much. So we're a little over 4 o'clock. I want to thank everyone for participating. Great discussion. Betsy, thank you for your slides and presentation. That was a great way to set the stage. And Martin, Nyandah, and Jose and Denise, thanks very much for your participation. And of course, thanks to Michelle and the other members of the Economic Development Commission that I think are listening in on this, and Vera Smith-Winfree from the Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, the Executive Director, and lastly to the Mayor of Bloomfield, Mayor Suzette DeBeatham-Brown, who initiated all these webinars and has been our sponsor and participant as we've gone through them. So hope everyone has an enjoyable remainder of the day, and glad you could join us this afternoon. Thanks very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you all for
Mike
coming.
and Denise and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
And we'll be posting this on our webpage probably the next few days.
Great.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you.